Have you ever thought about how powerful Professor Minerva McGonagall really was? What if the movies left out some of the most incredible details about her life? In today's video, you will discover secrets about McGonagall's strength, past, and the moments that never made it to the screen. The Harry Potter series is full of unforgettable characters, but even among them, one stands out: strict, brilliant, and endlessly loyal. Minerva McGonagall wasn't just a professor, she was a force to be reckoned with. Students feared her, yet respected her deeply. Her colleagues trusted her judgment. And when the moment called for it, she became a warrior. But how did she rise to such prominence? What made her one of the most skilled witches of her time? And what moments from her story were left out of the films? Minerva McGonagall was born in Scotland to a Muggle priest and a witch. Her mother hid her magic for years, fearing her husband's reaction. When the truth came out, it created a rift in the family. They still loved each other, but trust was never the same. Young Minerva grew up watching her mother struggle between two worlds, longing for the magical life she left behind, while her father wrestled with the idea that his wife was, in his eyes, a witch. At Hogwarts, McGonagall immediately drew attention. The Sorting Hat took an unusually long time deciding between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. In the end, her bravery won out. She became one of Gryffindor's brightest students, excelling in transfiguration and earning a reputation as a strict but fair leader. Her personal life was marked by heartbreak. After graduating, she fell deeply in love with a Muggle man. When he proposed, she almost said yes. But she knew that marriage would mean giving up her magical ambitions. She made the painful choice to walk away, leaving behind love for a future in the wizarding world. McGonagall's first job was at the Ministry of Magic, where she quickly gained recognition. Her superior, Elphinstone Urquhart, admired her talent. But London bored her. She longed for Hogwarts. When Dumbledore offered her a teaching position, she accepted immediately. Years later, Elphinstone proposed to her. She refused. Her heart still belonged to the Muggle man she had left behind. Only much later, after years of loneliness, did she finally say yes. Their happiness was short-lived. Just 3 years into their marriage, Elphinstone died from a rare plant's venom. It was a devastating loss, one she never fully recovered from. As a professor, McGonagall was both respected and feared. She was a strict disciplinarian, but she cared deeply for her students. She upheld the rules like her father, yet possessed the sharp wit and talent of her mother. When Voldemort rose to power, she played a crucial role in resisting him. Though she never officially joined the Order of the Phoenix, she worked closely with Aurors, gathering intelligence on Death Eater movements. During the reign of Dolores Umbridge, McGonagall was one of the few who dared to stand up to her. In one legendary moment, Umbridge interrupted her lesson, trying to assert dominance. Without hesitation, McGonagall shut her down with a sharp remark, leaving the entire class in stunned silence. And then came the Battle of Hogwarts. McGonagall led the school's defense, casting powerful enchantments to shield the castle. She single-handedly animated Hogwarts' stone guardians, commanding them to fight. In the chaos of the final battle, she even faced Voldemort himself. She couldn't defeat him, but she didn't back down either. After the war, she took her rightful place as Hogwarts headmistress, serving until old age. But just how powerful was she? McGonagall was one of the greatest transfiguration masters, second only to Dumbledore. She was an animagus, capable of transforming into a cat at will. She used this ability to spy on Death Eaters. Her Patronus was also a cat, and she could summon multiple Patronuses at once, something few wizards could do. She was skilled in combat magic. During an attempt to arrest Hagrid, 4 Aurors attacked her at once. They only managed to bring her down by sheer numbers, Many believed that in a fair duel, none of them could have bested her. Her most impressive feat? Activating Hogwarts' legendary protection spells, a task so advanced it was typically reserved for headmasters. McGonagall wasn't just a professor, she was a legend, a fierce protector of Hogwarts, a woman who stood against darkness time and time again. Her story is one of strength, sacrifice, and an unwavering sense of justice. And yet, despite everything she did, the movies only scratched the surface of who she really was. Minerva McGonagall was always a mystery. Her stern face, sharp eyes, and unwavering discipline made students respect and fear her at the same time. But behind the cold mask of the Transfiguration Professor, there was a hidden world, a past she never discussed, a secret buried so deep that even Albus Dumbledore, who seemed to know everything, never spoke of it. There were whispers about her youth. Some said she once loved someone so deeply that it nearly destroyed her. Others believed she had been involved in a dark event at Hogwarts long before she became a professor. The truth, however, was much stranger. Minerva McGonagall had known loss, betrayal, and a war that had nothing to do with Voldemort. Few knew that before teaching at Hogwarts, Minerva worked at the Ministry of Magic. She had been recruited into the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, a division that dealt with dangerous wizards. It was here that she met a man who changed everything, Alastor Moody. He wasn't yet the paranoid aura everyone knew. He was young, brilliant, and reckless. Together they investigated secret magical societies that operated in the shadows of the wizarding world. But their last case ended in disaster. A notorious dark wizard named Alaric Rowling had been gathering followers. He wasn't a Death Eater. Voldemort had not yet risen to power, but he believed in pure-blood supremacy and had no mercy for those who opposed him. McGonagall and Moody were sent to infiltrate his ranks. They worked undercover, feeding the Ministry information, but something went wrong. Rowling discovered their true identities. In the dead of night, Moody and McGonagall fought their way out of Rowling's hideout. Moody escaped with severe injuries. McGonagall was captured. She never spoke of what happened next. Those who found her said she was different after that night. Less trusting, more closed off. Some claimed Rowling had used an unforgivable curse on her, forcing her to reveal Ministry secrets. Others whispered that she had seen something so horrifying that she refused to ever talk about it. All anyone knew for certain was that Rowling was later found dead. The official records said he had been killed by the Ministry, but some believed McGonagall had delivered the final blow. Her past at the Ministry wasn't her only secret. There was another, much more personal one. A name that had once meant everything to her, Dougal McGregor. Before joining the Ministry, Minerva had fallen in love with a Muggle. She had been ready to give up magic for him. But when she finally told him the truth about her world, he hesitated. He didn't reject her, but he didn't accept her either. Minerva knew then that their worlds were too different. She left him without saying goodbye. A few years later, she learned that he had married another woman. Minerva never spoke about Dougal, not even to her closest friends. But there was a moment, just one, when her mask slipped. During the Triwizard Tournament, when Cedric Diggory's body was brought back from the graveyard, she turned away from the crowd. In that brief moment, she whispered something under her breath. Only Dumbledore, who stood nearby, heard her. "It never stops, does it?" Dumbledore did not reply. He understood. He had seen the same grief in her eyes before. During the First Wizarding War, McGonagall had fought bravely against the Death Eaters. She lost students, friends, and colleagues. But there was one loss she never spoke about, Elphinstone Urquhart. He had been her colleague, then her friend, and finally the man she had dared to love again. He proposed to her, and this time she said yes. They had only a few years together before fate intervened. A venomous bite from a magical creature took him from her. She returned to Hogwarts, burying her heart along with him. Even in the Second Wizarding War, when Voldemort's forces took over the school, McGonagall never showed fear. But in the quiet moments, when the halls were empty, she would stand before the Great Hall, staring at the enchanted ceiling. Those who knew her well said that she often looked as if she were speaking to someone who was no longer there. She hid many things, but the greatest secret of all was her unwavering belief in second chances. She never stopped believing in people, even when they disappointed her, even when she lost them. This was why she fought so hard for her students, why she was so strict. She wasn't just teaching them magic, she was preparing them for a world that could take everything away in an instant. Minerva McGonagall was not just a professor, she was a warrior, a survivor, and though she never spoke of the past, it was always with her. In the way she looked at her students, in the way she stood tall when darkness came, in the quiet nights when she sat alone in her office, a single candle burning beside her, remembering the ghosts of those she had loved and lost.